Hi everyone, Joshua Hanlon here, and today I'm standing with gorgeous views of Old Havana in Cuba. I'm in the San Carlos Fortress, which is the most expansive of the fortress complexes here in the Havana area. And today we're taking a look at some of my coolest experiences in Havana, Cuba, which is exploring these old fortress complexes. Now there are actually three kind of original fortresses here, and as you walk around the city, you actually kind of see on the seal of the city the three fortresses represented. To my left out here, you can see the Castle of the Royal Forces, so that's across the harbor there, and that's one of the original ones. It actually has kind of a moat around it, and that one houses a maritime museum in it as well. To my right, also across the harbor out here, is the Fortress of San Lorenzo, and so you can see that that one's a little bit smaller, hasn't stayed in quite as good of shape either, but that one is kind of right at the mouth of the harbor. And then also at the mouth of the harbor, one of the most famous fortresses is the Del Morro Fortress out there. And one of the reasons it's so famous is not only is it this imposing fortress structure, but it has this magnificent lighthouse as well, which you can tour when you go there in addition to touring the fortress. So those are kind of the three original fortresses from the 16th century. So Havana and Harbor and the city of Havana was an important site for the Spanish for many, many years, and so other European colonial powers and pirates tried to attack. The British actually successfully took this fortress in the mid-1700s, and it was after that that the Spanish realized a fourth fortress, which is the one we're at today, needed to be built. So that's when this massive fortress complex was built. This is one of the largest fortress complexes in all of the Americas. And just walking in here is an experience with multiple moats and fortified gates. And then you get to the walls and you get these views out over the harbor. Today it's still bristling with cannons here that would have been used for defensive purposes. But Havana has been a strategic port for many centuries, and it was fought over by the Spanish, the Dutch, the British. The Americans came in here with the very famous sinking of the battleship Maine that prompted the Spanish-American War in the very early 1900s. That battleship Maine exploded right here in Havana Harbor as well. So there's tons of history tied to these incredible fortress complexes here, and each of them make for a fun visit where you can learn not only about the fortress, but also much of the other history of Cuba as well. One other great benefit about this is the admission prices are incredibly cheap, and so it's only a couple US dollars to get into this massive complex. All of these only cost maybe 200-300 Cuban pesos, which is just $2 or $3 American dollars. So really, really cheap prices to get in and explore so many cool places. And the history here is really mind-blowing. So for instance, those fortresses that I pointed out across the harbor there, the original fortresses, are roughly about 100 years older than the fortress in St. Augustine, Florida, which a lot of Americans might have visited during trips down to Florida. So there's so much old history here, certainly from American perspective. It's really fun to come and explore these areas during your trip to Havana, Cuba. Thanks for watching and have fun exploring.